Hi, welcome back to my channel SRK English Academy. So in this video lesson, I'm going to discuss Mending Shoes, a poem written by E.V.Ramakrishnan. So this video lesson is for Kakatiya University and Shata University degree English semester 2 students. And let's delve into the topic and I'll explain the poem line by line. Mending Shoes poem is written by E.V. Ramakrishnan. He was born in the year 1951 in Kerala state and is an influential Indian poet, a critic and academic. And he is a bilingual writer. He writes both in English and Malayalam. So he is a bilingual writer. So he wrote so many books. So popular books are poetry books. So he wrote, published these three books after intervals of 14 years. So the first book of poetry is Being Elsewhere in Myself, and second book A Python in a Snake Park, and after 14 years Terms of Seeing New and Selected Poems. So these three, the first it was published in 1980, then after 14 years second book published, and then after 14 years third book published. So these three books of poetry are popular books of E.V. Ramakrishnan. Stanza 1. The cobbler sits under the neem, mending shoes, humming to himself, unmindful of the day coming to a close. So who is a cobbler? The person who repairs shoe is called cobbler. So cobbler sits under the neem tree. So cobbler sitting under neem tree, it's a common scene in our Indian towns and cities. So mending shoes. So what he is doing there is repairing. Mending means repairing shoes. Humming to himself. So he is quietly humming a tune and he is singing a song without opening his lips. Unmindful of the day coming to a close. Unmindful of the day. So he has not noticed that it is getting dark. The day is coming to a close. So he is fully absorbed in his work, and he is stitching the shoes. He is mending shoes. He is repairing shoes. So he is fully absorbed in his work. Next, I watch his elegant hands weave in and out of my tattered shoes. So tattered shoes are damaged shoes. So here I is as the speaker or the poet. So the speaker observes that the cobbler hands, elegant hands. So elegant are hands are the cobbler hands are moving to and fro skillfully. So he is an expert in moving his hands and stitching his shoes out of his damaged or worn out shoes. The pawn shop radio splutters into sudden life. So the nearby pawn shop. So there is an announcement. The poet or the speaker and also the cobbler, they listen to the news and the announcement coming from the radio, so which is in a nearby pawn shop, splutters into the sudden life. So splutters, it's like a explosive sound, a series of explosive sounds, sharp explosive sound, tap, pot. So the kind of sound or loud noise coming from the radio from the pawn shop. So Gorbachev has resigned. So there is an announcement by the newsreader, that is Gorbachev has resigned. So who is Gorbachev? So Gorbachev is Mikhail Gorbachev, is the last leader of the USSR. So USSR is a Soviet Union. So he was the last president of Soviet Union, and he resigned in the year 1991. So Gorbachev has resigned. He was the last president of the Soviet Union. So after his resignation, the Soviet Union has split into 15 independent nations. So there was a dissolution of the Soviet Union. Then Yeltsin comes to power. Yeltsin was also a Russian leader. After Gorbachev, Yeltsin comes to power. So he became the president of Russian Federation after the dissolution of the Soviet Union, and he assumes control of the Commonwealth. He assumes in Russia after Gorbachev. So the Soviet Union in the 1991 splits into so many countries, and 15 independent nations uh, form, formed after dissolution of the Soviet Union. So Gorbachev was the last president, and then Yeltsin took the power of Russian Federation. So the stanza here, the meaning of the stanza is that there were significant changes in the world, and there are some significant political events happen in the world in Russia, but the cobbler is unmindful. So he's not at all worried about those events, and he simply doing his work. He quietly humming and doing his own work, and he is fully absorbed in his work. So this is the contrast between the ordinary life of cobbler and also the world events. Let's begin stanza 2. The cobbler threads the frayed ends of worn out giants. So frayed ends are worn edges of shoes. So damaged edges of shoes. The cobbler is stitching the damaged edges of shoes and parts of the shoe that have become damaged and they need a repair. So he restores a sense of shape to the ruins of my journeys from the plains of Deccan to the palm shade of my village. So the speaker says that the cobbler restored a sense of shape. So he's giving a shape to the shoe, and he's joining those worn out joints. And here the speaker speaks about his long travels, ruins of my journeys. The speaker speaks about his long travels and experiences, and those long travels spoiled his shoes, and he traveled from the plains of Deccan. So from the plains of Deccan to the palm shade of my village. So he traveled from Deccan plains to his village. So palm shade, the shade provided by palm trees. So here it symbolizes a place of rest. So and he has come from Deccan plains he traveled from Deccan plains to his village. So his shoes are damaged, and the cobbler is now joining those frayed ends, worn edges of the shoes. I am glad he has given my trespasses. So the speaker is very happy, and he's delighted that he has forgiven his mistakes, because he skillfully mended his shoes. Through the tip of his needle, the highways of the homeland are stitched back into a map of return journeys ready for use. Here the speaker says that, so, through the tip of his needle, through the tip of a cobbler's needle, he is stitching. Here the highways of the homeland symbolizes major roads or paths in his native country. So here the cobbler is connecting all the roads which are connected to his home. So here it means that he repairing shoes is joining those tattered shoes. So it symbolizes the connection, and he's connecting the roads which lead to his native village, and stitched back into a map. So he repaired and reconnected. So here the speaker metaphorically restoring a sense of direction and purpose. So now the shoes are ready for use. So now the speaker can wear those shoes and he goes on the road, and he's ready to uh, go to his uh, go to anywhere with those shoes. Now shoes are repaired. Now they are uh, useful to the speaker. So let's read stanza 3. Now the shoes belong to the road, to the vagaries of the weather. The shoes are ready to face the road again, and now the poet or the speaker can use those shoes because the cobbler has repaired. So here the vagaries means the unpredictable changes of the weather. The shoes must face sun, rain, dust. So it symbolizes the uncertainties of life. So vagaries of the weather, it symbolizes uncertainties of life. The clamor of crows sucks up the last drops of daylight. So the birds in the evening, the last drops of daylight. So the day is coming to end, and evening is ending. Darkness is coming. So it creates a calm, reflective mood as he gets up to leave. So the cobbler finishes his work and stands up. He gets up to leave and is ready to move. He looks into the shimmering lights of this port city. So here the speaker looks into the shimmering lights. So the flickering or glowing lights. Here the shimmering lights symbolizes hope or transition. As someone about to renounce the world, he knows at this very hour someone is stepping into history. So here he looks detached, like a person giving up worldly desires. So this gives him a spiritual image. So here he understands that somewhere important political events are happening. Someone is stepping into history. So just now the speaker heard, a speaker listened on the radio that Boris Yeltsin came to the power and Gorbachev has resigned. So there is a significant change in the politics of Russia, and there are so many changes happening in the world. But this cobbler is unmindful of the events here. So the speaker understands that somewhere important political events are happening. So with the presence of a new pair of shoes. So here there's foreknowledge are of the future. A new pair of shoes symbolizes a fresh beginning. So here a new pair of shoes means symbolizes a fresh start or new journey. The speaker has traveled from Deccan Plains to his native village, and he has uh, had a long travel, and he has so many experiences. So but after repairing issues, he has to start his journey again. So the new pair of shoes symbolizes a fresh start or a new journey. This is summary of the poem, and I'll give you the summary in the description box also. And in your examination you need to write answer, and you have to annotate the lines from the poem. So let's see an example or model annotation from the poem. So this is a model annotation you have to write in your examination. Annotation poem lines will be given your examination. You have to annotate those lines. So first this is a format, reference, and in this section you write the lines are from Mending Lines written by E.V.Ramakrishnan, and also write about the poet. Then context. So in which context these lines are spoken. You write those those lines in the context, and you have to also explain the meaning of the lines. So this is the format of annotation. And thank you for watching this video.